Hey everyone, we're live here at the Great American Real Estate Summit down in Daytona Beach. And since Ron is so busy, we're going to have the mentors answer your questions. So we're here with Barbara and Alton.
Hey.
Okay, so the first question is from Manilis Williams in Kansas. What is the difference between lease purchase, owner financing, and subject to? Which scenario would I be able to deduct taxes?
Okay, hi Manilis, I'll take that one. So a lease purchase is just that. You're leasing the property with the option to purchase. So since you're leasing, you do not have ownership yet. And then the other one would be owner financing. Owner financing is, and the way that you would ask the seller is, would you consider taking monthly payments for your equity and selling on owner financing? So owner financing, you would have ownership to, and that means the deed transfers when you do purchase the property. When you're leasing the property, the deed stays in the seller's name until you actually purchase the property. And subject to means that you are buying the property subject to the seller's existing mortgage. And the loan stays in the seller's name, the deed transfers to you, but the loan stays in the seller's name until such time in the future when your tenant buyer is qualified to pay off the loan, and then it will come out of the seller's name. So it's always best to buy on subject to whenever possible. Now you asked about the taxes. I'm not sure what taxes you're talking about, whether you're talking about income taxes or property taxes. But as far as income taxes, that is determined on who is the owner of the property. Obviously, on a lease purchase, you have you have nothing to do with the taxes. You can't deduct those taxes. But on owner financing, or if you are the owner of the property, you can. And of course, if you're talking about income tax, there's capitalization. If you've owned the property for over a year, then it would be long-term capital gain, and if it's less than a year, it would be short-term capital gain. So,
but of course, you want to consult with your tax advisor, because we're not tax advisors here, not licensed to do that, but we're just letting you know kind of things what we know from past experiences. You definitely want to consult your tax advisor when you're dealing with that. The one thing I'd like to do, Barbara, on things what we're talking about subject to and owner finance, I love those strategies. Those strategies can be used as a combination of both. You can have somebody, you can buy a house where you can be taking over debt subject to, if it's a small loan that they have existing on there, and then do a remaining balance of a second trustee note and be able to acquire that property that way, where you can use both owner finance and subject to. The good thing about it is because you're getting the deed, you will have ownership. Yes. Because if you're rehabbing houses, we don't work on houses that we don't own. So right. You want to get the deed the first thing, but if you can't get the deed, then you go to the lease option program. So that's a great strategy. We can use either one of those three tactics or strategies, or you can use a combination of two together, meaning owner finance and taking over debt subject to.
Right.
Okay, so the next question is from Kevin Lee in California. Seller is willing to sell the house for what's owed on it. He owes $405,000 and is willing to sell it for that much. He bought it for $600,000. The ARV is $350,000 and a negative equity of $55,000. The monthly payment is $3,600, but the market rent is $1,800. It's already rented for $1,800, and lease won't expire until June 2017. Seller has been losing $1,800 every month. That's the reason he's selling. How do I structure the deal if I were to buy it for what's owed on it? I will be paying his $3,600 a month payment. It doesn't seem like a deal. Should I pass?
Yes.
I'll take this one, Barbara.
Okay, go ahead.
Kevin,
run.
That is definitely a no deal. You do not want to make the seller's problems your problems. To be in a situation where the current mortgage payment is you're upside down by $1,800 a month, and the fact of the matter is the equity in the house for what he's selling for what he owes is still upside down by over $50,000. That is a no deal situation. The seller can be the nicest person in the world. There's nothing you can do about that as an investor. We're in the business of making money, not being a nonprofit. So you want to make sure you tell them, hey, there's nothing you can do in this situation here. They may have to go back to their bank and maybe negotiate something with them to either short sell it or some other kind of thing, or whatever strategy he's going to employ to make it better. But that can't be a deal when we're in business to make money, and you can't help everybody in a situation other than advising to go talk to a legal advisor to get them out of that situation.
Right. Now you're calling that a deal, but let's not confuse the term deal with prospect or suspect here. That's definitely a suspect, and in no way, shape, or form could be construed as a deal.
Right. So, I mean, just, you know, to pass on the deal respectfully and just go out, because I tell you, and I know about this, Barbara, the deal of the century comes along at least once a week. You just have to be prepared to take action and move forward with it. This is not a deal. So again, don't construe this as a deal, because it's not a deal. Go find something else. I guarantee you something's going to come along at least next week for you or this week for you, but pass on this one and move forward.
Right.
Okay, then that's it.
Bye,
All
guys.
right. Talk to you later.
Hey everyone, I'm with Dixie now to answer a question from Ryan Garrett in Minnesota. I am brand new and eager to get started on my first wholesale deal and first deal overall. I found a nice bank-owned fixer-upper close to me, listed on MLS for $29,900. Looking at the pictures and after quick drive-by, I estimate the fixing cost to be about $20,000 and ARV at $85,000, although comps are hard to come by. Since I am starting out, I would like to look to resell it to an investor to fix it and retail it. Questions are, does this seem like good math for this sort of transaction?
Okay, that's a great question. So the first thing you need to do is verify your ARV. Make sure that's really what it's worth, and then just simply use the Mayo formula to decide what your maximum allowable offer is. So if your ARV is $80,000, times it by your 70% and back out your repairs. That would be the most you could pay for this house. So I think on this deal, it qualifies according to the numbers. I did hear one thing in that question about it being bank owned. So just be careful if you're working with a realtor and you're trying to assign these to another buyer. You just got to be careful. You can't sometimes with those bank owned contracts assign them or transfer the deed. So you'd have to double close it or find yourself some transactional funding. But we can get to that later.
Okay, so how do I find someone to resell it to?
Okay, so there's tons of ways you can find people to resell it to. Again, that bank thing kind of throws a little kink in it, but it can be navigated through. You can find buyers at your local RIA that buy these kinds of deals all the time as wholesale buyers. You can easily post it with free marketing to Craigslist or Zillow Ad Manager. It depends if you're going to double close it or assign it, what your rules are with that bank and the realtor that you're working with to buy it.
Okay, and what does it mean to get it under contract along with the steps on how to do it?
So if it's a bank-owned property, getting it under contract, your realtor is really going to control that agreement with the bank. So it's a little bit different than how we do it when we're doing for sale by owner transactions, and that would be a form that we would easily get out of the Gold Club site for a for sale by owner transaction. And then you're going to sell it to another buyer either as an assignment, or you're going to write another contract on it if you're going to double close on this. So both of those things can be answered further in detail. I think Ron does a whole class on this in Quick Start Real Estate School. So that would be the first place I would go to get more information, because there's several details and multiple questions that you had there. But it's all very easy and simple to do in wholesaling properties.
Okay, thank you, Dixie.
Oh, hi, I'm Michelle
guys.
Hoffbecker.
And I'm Jeannie Cheesick.
We live in the Central Coast, California, and we're the sister mentors.
Okay, so your question is from Lorna Lucky in Florida. Newbies like myself are experiencing difficulty closing deals because we don't have the money to self-fund. Plus, you taught us not to use our own money. Can you at least provide a few links where we can have access to private funding to be able to do our deal? Getting something back in encourages us to buy more and attend more of your training.
Awesome question. Well, a couple things we would suggest is make sure you have the Gold Club. There's tons of information. Go to your local RIA group and see if there's any private money lenders. Get a mentor so you can close the deals you get. And also you can Google private lending and get out there and talk to your friends, family, and see if they're interested or someone else they know is interested in doing private money to invest in your real estate. And good luck.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, we're here to answer a question. I'm Brian Wolf.
I'm Lynette Wolf.
We're the Wolf couple. Oh, see our little wolf, he's howling too.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I got a little wolf.
So we're here at the summit. This is really exciting. We're talking about a lot of great things, but we're going to answer your question right now.
Okay, so this question is from James in Nevada.
Hi Hi, James.
Hi, James.
I am just starting out and I am dealing with some skepticism from other people. I can't wait to get my first shut up check. What do you think is the fastest way to get my first paycheck?
You know, a lot of folks are in that position, and the easiest way is a pretty house deal. And this is what we discovered when we first found Ron, because we had done the process of investing according to what most people think it is, and that's normally rehabs and buy and holds, you know, investment properties. And that's how most people are trained to invest in property. When we met Ron, our minds were expanded, and we learned all these other ways to do it. You don't have to wait around for banks. And that's the biggest thing. That's what takes a long time to get a check, is because if you're waiting around for a bank or a lender or somebody else, you're dependent on them to get your first paycheck. Let's say you buy a house from a seller with owner financing, subject to or lease purchase. That's just between you and them. Nobody else has anything to do with this transaction. If you sign a contract with them on a Wednesday, you could have that house, you know, these houses that we're talking about with pretty houses, guys, people have fixed these houses up in order to sell them. They already look perfect. You're walking into a house that's ready to sell. So you get this house under contract on a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday even, and you get it out on the market on that weekend. You could sell a house, you know, feasibly. You could buy it on Friday and sell it on Saturday. That's how fast. Now, you get a non-refundable option deposit from your lease purchase tenant. That's who is going to be buying these properties from you. We call them tenant buyers. When they buy this property from you on any kind of a deal, you're hoping for a good percentage down, but at least 10. On almost any deal, even if the house isn't even worth $100,000, you're shooting for at least $10,000.
What's the most you could put down on your beautiful brand new home?
That's right. That's what you want to be asking your buyers. And so you could feasibly, the quickest check you can possibly get is to get a pretty house. And guess what? What if the house isn't so pretty? What if it actually is a little rough? Well, guess what? You just get the junk out of there and you put it up as a work for equity.
We love work for equity buyers. Some people call it sweat equity buyers. That way you're buying a house, zero money down, none of your own credit, and then you turn around, even if it needs work, you don't want to put money in the home, you don't want to put money down, you don't have to go get money, you just have your work for equity buyer go in there at their own labor, their own cost, fix it up. You might not get quite as much non-refundable option deposit, but you'll still get a decent amount down, and that's what we love, work for equity buyers.
That's right. So with the pretty house world, you can get a fast paycheck of 10, 20, 30,000 in just a matter of days.
And spend the money right away.
Yeah, and that's spendable cash. That's right, guys. You don't have to put that in some escrow account. You can go out and spend that money right now. So that's spendable money. Save a little for Uncle Sam, because you don't want to come tax time have not the money. But so you're going to make a lot of money in the pretty house world doing it that way. Obviously, the key is you need to know how to explain this deal and what to say. And so get to some of the training, the quick starts. We're at all the quick starts. So we'd love to see you there or at any future
And
training.
you had a second part of the question, right,
Oh, yeah.
James?
Yes, how much should I try to get down on houses around 200,000?
Well, like I said, you want to get the most possible down that you can. When you have a true lease purchase buyer, they care about two things. Purchase price is not one of them. Now, first is what's the most you can put down and what's the most you can pay monthly, okay? If you have them asking, I can't tell you how many times like our acquisitionists will go to the to sign the purchase and sale agreement, and they haven't even talked about purchase price. I mean, that's how much they don't care when you have a true lease purchase buyer about the purchase price. We just did a deal. Our acquisitionist just went out and got a deal in Scottsdale. We bought the house. They owed $529,000 on the mortgage. We took over the debt, zero money down. It's in Scottsdale, $529,000. We took over the debt and we exited out with a lease purchase buyer. Okay, the house is about $560. It's worth about $560, $565. We asked $579.9 because a lease purchase doesn't have the luxury of going to the bank and getting financing. So that's why they don't care about the purchase price. Anyway, we said, what's the most you can put down on your beautiful brand new home in Scottsdale? And they said $75,000. Sweet.
Yep.
Okay, you can spend that $75,000. Now, be careful that I don't want to get in the front end and back end, but anyway, so we got a $75,000 non-refundable option deposit check that we spend right away. How cool is that?
Yeah. So we love pretty houses, obviously, guys. Just get to the training and we'll go through everything with you there, and we'd love to see you.
Can't wait to see ya.
Hello, my name is Tony Pearl. I'm a mentor with LeGrand, And I've been a mentor for a little more than a year now, and I've been knowing Ron and his system for, 15 years now. And I live in the Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. And today is the inauguration day. I'm going to be away from home, but I'm happy to be here down at the summit in Daytona Beach.
Okay, so your question is from Scott in California.
Hello, Scott.
Is there a certain marketing budget in dollars or percentages that you recommend for to buy houses? What would you consider as too less, and what would you consider to be overkill?
So what do you want to do for a marketing budget? What is, okay. So you want to know how much should you invest in marketing in order to get your deals out? And that is a very wide open question. I would say like this: if you're starting out or somewhat new, you can get a lot, even at any level, you can get leads and you can get deals for free by going on to Craigslist or by getting the leads from the Gold Club. Or there's another site, I'll probably maybe not be able to recommend this right now, but you can also go to Zillow and look for leads there, and that's all for free. If you have a VA, an assistant, you can have them scrape those leads and contact the seller to get the property information sheet filled out. It won't cost you anything. If you do, and then when you get a deal and you get some money, or if you want to start to invest in your marketing, one of the best things to do is get a yellow letter campaign, and that can be done for a few $100s easily per month. You get the list that you want to mail to, whether it's expired listings out of town or out of state owners, and then start mailing to them. You can do sequential mailings, you can do one and done, but you really want to mail to the same list a few times. Yellow letters or even postcards, some people like to do that. That could be a few $100s. Once you start to get leads and you start to get deals closed and you get cash from these deals, then you may begin to invest more money in your marketing as investing back in your business. And that could be anywhere from a few hundred to, I know people who are investing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, all the way up to $100,000, that's remembered, a month in their marketing, with their investing in like Google pay-per-click or Facebook ads to attract sellers and some, of course, for the buyers as well. So it really depends on how much you want to invest, what your budget is, what kind of return on your investment that you're getting. That's the whole key right there. Any business owner knows that you're always looking for that ROI, return on investment. How much can I put out, and what will it bring me back? If I put out $1,000, I want to get a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 or 10-to-1 return on my investment. For every $1,000 you put out, you may want to get $5,000 or $10,000 back. Okay? Hopefully that answers your question in a very full and roundabout way at the same time. So thank you very much. Hope that helps.
I'm Ralph French, and I have been a mentor for about a year. I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Okay, so your question is from Joe Roach in Arkansas. If you take title in a land trust, how do you write up the paperwork?
Great question, Joe. Well, what we do is we write up the purchase and sale agreement in our LLC, and then we turn all the paperwork over to the attorney. The attorney writes up the land trust, which has our LLC as the beneficiary. The trustee is actually my acquisitionist, and that way our LLC is never on title, and the land trust is not recorded. The warranty deed is in the land trust, and that is what is recorded, and we create a creative name for the land trust. As Lou Brown said, you could do charities or whatever. That way people are less apt to sue you. They won't know what you actually own, nor will they know who really owns that property. And then our LLC is the management company. That's it. Hope that helps, Joe, and have a great day.